Yo, welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here. We're going to be going over the results of late night number 36. We saw a lot of strong players playing in this event, and I think we had quite a bit of players. We'll just go over there and double check all this stuff. Well, we could still look at it. Yes, we had over 275 players, and eventually Whimsicott took it all down. We do have the grand finals up this week because we did have players streaming the finals. We did have a late night top cut stream, so we saw the majority of the top 8 games, and we will be jumping into our top 8 deck list. You can see that there's a lot of variety of decks up here, but we're going to be starting off with a deck that a lot of people know, and that's going to be MewvMax, with Zachary Estridge making top 8 at this event, so shout out to them. So what we see here is MewvMax doing MewvMax stuff, and it's going to be using Cross Fusion Strike to copy likely a Genesect's Technoblast or Melodious Echo, or maybe even Psychic Leap. You can accelerate energies with Elisas, and you have double turbo energies, and we have access to drawing cards with Fusion Strike system on Genesect. Typically what Genesect's decks do. To me, this looks like a really standard, solid list. Not a lot of techs. I think a lot of lists play Echoing Horn or Marnie nowadays, but overall I think this list looks absolutely great. I really wouldn't make any changes to it. I just think it seems like an absolutely solid list, so shout out to them. They had a great day. MewvMax sometimes, we could look at some of their matches here. Had a very strong Phase 1, not necessarily as strong of a Phase 2, but sometimes that's all it takes, is you just need to have a strong Phase 1, and I think overall, Mew is a deck that can get you these runs. We quite often see it here at the late night series. We're going to move on to Ryo Kaneko. Again, sorry if I mispronounce anyone's name. A lot of times I've only heard these read, but if you ever let me know in the comments, I will update it as well. So we're going to see an Arcas Intellion deck here. Again, pretty standard overall here. Arceus is just going to try to accelerate energies with Trinity Nova to your other Arceus, and Charon's Care, and Starbird, search for the cards you want. A lot of these cards are really cool in this deck. Things that I like about this deck, I really like the whole Pokemon line. I'd like to see a Zigzagoon in here. Zigzagoon on Trinity Nova. So Trinity Nova does 200, minus 20 from Double Turbo Energy is 180, plus 30 from Choice Belt is 210, plus Zigzagoon is 220, so you could go Boss's Orders, Knockout, an Arceus in Mirror. They might have lost to Arceus Mirror. We'll have to find out. Dunsparce, Manaphy, and they don't play the Clara. I'd like to see the Clara here since they play Palpad, so they can get those cards back. They do play Ordinary Rod. Clara is better because you play Palpad. Kind of rolling through here. Everything else seems pretty normal. Counts seem pretty normal. Capture Energy is a bit of a odd inclusion into this deck. I think that it's a little off trend with the Whimsicott decks rolling around, but we'll have to see how their day turned out. So what were the matches? So you can see they actually had a pretty strong run against Arceus decks. Not entirely sure where, why, whatever, how that happened, but they did end up losing to Arcas Intellion in the top cuts. So something to note there, that maybe it finally bit them if they play players who knew how to play the matchup, or maybe they were just going first and didn't really matter. So shout out to them as well. We are going to be jumping into Nate Kirksey playing another Mew deck. So since we already covered over the strategy of this deck, we're just going to be looking at the list. They do play the 4-2 Mew. I currently have that as well. Playing the Pumpkaboo is hot as well. I don't like Pumpkaboo and Scoop Up Net. I think that the Scoop Up Net for Pumpkaboo, Meloetta, or Aquario is a little bit greedy. I'd almost rather always have a switch, which is why I'd rather almost not play the Pumpkaboo, but I think it's acceptable. Again, I think this is just one of those takes on Mew, and Mew's one of those decks that you could have a lot of personality flair with it, because Cross Fusion Strike and Fusion Strike system work seamlessly together to just draw whatever you want. So no shame in the list. I think the list is good. Not the way that I would play it, but certainly a solid take on it. Where did they struggle against? Malamar, that's normal. Deck that plays Path, another deck that plays Path, and another deck that plays Path. So I don't know if the Pumpkaboo was enough. I think Path is really what allows Arceus Intellion decks to win. Sometimes that's just how it be, but shout out to Nate. We have Onguard. Onguard have been killing it lately. I believe they've made top 8 the past 3 times with Sylveon VMAX. Very much a take from the list that we saw from EUIC, but their own take on it with Crobat, Arceus, Sylveon. So it's part Sylveon because Sylveon's hot right now. Sylveon's a good way to get around Rapid Strike Urshifu. Actually, probably one of the best ways to get around Rapid Strike Urshifu. Large HP Psychic type Pokemon is what the answer is. Vmax is good against Dark Beak Pokemon like Mew. Arceus is obviously nice to have as a colorless Pokemon, and of course we see some Moltres, Zapdos, Zamazenta action to accelerate all these different energies with. I mean, I think this deck's kind of hot, but it's one of those things where Sylveon usually plays out like an inconsistent mess, and that's a good thing, that's a bad thing. I don't know if it's a deck for me, but it's certainly a deck for some. Definitely some hot includes like Rowlet, Birdkeeper, and I mean, I don't know if I'd change too much. I really don't like 3 Battle VIP Pass. I wish that someone would tell me some math on this, or maybe I need to look it up. What are the odds of starting with a Battle VIP Pass on your first turn? This deck doesn't necessarily churn through cards as quick as, let's say, like a Mew deck, so it kind of hurts me to see 3 Battle VIP Pass. But that's my hot take of the day. I want to see exactly the decks that they ran into. So they had a very strong phase 1 going 8-1. Wrapping this up real quick with the 3 wins, double ID, losing to Whimsicott. I think Whimsicott's actually not that bad of a matchup. We actually had this matchup live on stream. There was definitely some plays that I would have done a little bit different, but feel free to watch that one out if you want to see how that played out. That does wrap up our top 8, and we will be going into our top 4 with Michaela G. So again, we are going to see another Arcas Intellion. Things that we see in this list that were a little bit different are we going to see the Galarian Moltres. I think Galarian Moltres certainly is a hot tech. And we do see the Clara here, so I do like the Clara. I actually really like this list. I think this list, if I were to be running a Galarian Moltres deck, this would basically be the list that I would be running. I really don't see too many other changes that I'd make. I'd maybe cut a Marnie for a Judge, and that's just me being a little extra. I think it's really one of those things where I like Judge in case my opponent Rotom Phone put something on top of the deck, and it's kind of a divisive version of Marnie. It's very similar, so hot list. Probably my favorite list that I saw here all night, besides Zachary Estridge version of Mew. I thought that version was really cool too. Had an absolute great run. I'm surprised that they beat the Colossal deck. That's kind of a weird matchup, but hopefully Dunsparce came in clutch there. They beat a few Whimsicott decks, even beating the winner of the event, but ended up losing to them. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Maybe it was a bit of a rough go, but it happens to all of us. Sometimes it just be like that. We're going to be looking at Dobby619. We're going to be looking at their Arceus Malamar Vmax deck. So let's see exactly what's going on with this one. I mean, I think this is a pretty hot version of the deck. I'd like to see an extra line of Arceus, I think, because I don't know what you actually would want to start with. I think you want to just improve your chance of starting with this. Everything seems normal. I like the Hoopa V inclusion. So this deck's going to function like any other Arceus decks, except you have your option of Accelerate Energies to Malamar or Hoopa. Hoopa being good because it's Dark and Psychic with its ability. Its Psychic type ability can get shut off, like turning itself Psychic with its ability can get shut off with Path to the Peak, so you got to note that if you are playing against a Rapid Strike deck. Bibarel is going to be the draw engine here, and Malamar Vmax is very disruptive with Path to the Peak and other like Judge Marnie cards, so it can be a very disruptive deck. And I mean, I think it's cool. Definitely think the build here is nice. I like Battle VIP Pass in this deck. I don't know if there's actually room to add it in with this current build with the Crushing Hammers, but you want to know what I think? Malamar Vmax is one of those decks where it's interesting enough, and it probably just hasn't seen the success that we needed to see, but it can be a successful deck. Like, this deck definitely can win. So even though it's not consistently ranked within the top 20 decks, it's something that can definitely see a little bit more success there. So shout out to them. Let's check out what their run was like. Very strong phase 1, going 7-2. Losing to Arc Mirror and Jolteon, beating up a handful of Mews. You can see they had a pretty strong run, losing to another Arceus deck, and yeah, I guess we're gonna be seeing what else rolls through here. But they lost to Arcas Intellion, so it looks like their deck just was not well equipped to beat Arcas Intellion at all, losing to some very top players. So something to note is that it just might not be there. We are going to be looking at Kinera's deck. So this is one of the players that actually beat them. They are playing an Arceus Intellion deck, except they do play Beedrill. We do have their grand finals stream, so that's kind of cool. So be sure to check this out. They're basically just going to be searching out their Beedrill from time to time with Rapid Strike Mustard, summoning it, because you can summon any card from your, that's Rapid Strike Mustard can summon a Sage 2 Pokemon as long as it's single strike and you have 0 cards in your hands. Starbirth allows you to definitely get to that point. Definitely a cool take on the list. I really do like how this list looks, and even with Raihan for the energy. overall, I thought that this was a really cool take on the list. I'd like to see a Clara in this list as well. Anyone who's playing Dunsparce, Manaphy, and Palpad, I do think that you should be playing a Clara as well. That's me. Maybe I'd cut a Beedrill and maybe a single strike Mustard to tone that down, but otherwise I thought this was a really cool take. Maybe not needing 5 grass energies either. I'd like to see maybe another water energy. So, and 1 capture energy to me is also one of those things that's my pet peeve when it comes to lists, and I'm sorry if y'all like it. What are you gonna do? Starbirth, search for the capture energy? I think it's just like, what is a random bonus if you don't get it on your first turn. I think with Whimsicott nowadays, you actually want to be toning down your energies and even going 3 double turbos and then going for the other 7 basic energies. So cutting the capture energy for a water would be absolutely hot in my opinion. And also if you're running water, I'd much rather see a Melanie just to give yourself an opportunity to jump back into the game. So that's my hot takes. Probably sounds way more hot, but they ended up having a very strong phase 1. I don't know why they double tied. A lot of players don't necessarily understand how it takes to get into phase 2. Those wins could have they could have had 1 less win if they just played out those games. I definitely would have played out those full games, especially at this event when there's not really any CP or huge cash prizing on the line. I mean, there's cash prizing for sure, but it's up to y'all. And you want to make it deep to get that cash prizing. Their finals was really close. They preemptively scooped even though they had a DC turn. But you could watch out the grand finals and the stream to see exactly, and we have commentary for both. But we are going to be moving into our finalists here, our winner actually, not our finalists, our winner, TCC Gem G playing Whimsicott. This is Frank's exact list from EUIC, except they decided to run Choice Belt instead of E-Experience Share. I'm not a fan of that change at all. I was pretty vocal about it during the finals, but the goal of this deck is to use Trick Winds. Your opponent can't attach any special energies or play any Pokemon tools, and really just attack with that. Use Crushing Hammer, Path to the Peak, Fan of Waves, Avery to disrupt your opponents. The reason why I don't like the Choice Belt, while it does make things equal into some kind of two-shotting doesn't matter if you have your opponent in a lock anyways. So the Choice Belt typically won't matter in those matchups. It's better to play the Experience Share in case something gets knocked out. There's a few too many times where I saw this Whimsicott almost getting knocked out or knocked out and getting punished for playing the Choice Belt. Raihan would be another acceptable choice. There's just no way to power up a Whimsicott's Tricky Win in one blow with this deck, and I think that's a fundamental issue with the deck list. So overall, great built archetype. I'd much rather go with Frank's list, but they did win the tournament, so maybe the Choice Belt is worthwhile to look into. We'll look over their run. They had a very strong phase 1, but IDing in to go 6-2-1. So that's cool. Going 4-1 at phase 2 and then going all the way undefeated to the finals. Again, we have all of their stuff available for like the top cut run. So check that out if you want to learn a little bit more. Late Night Series number 37 starts up this upcoming week. So we'll kind of go over here. You could see, I'm going to scroll through here. Late Night Series number 37. We typically get quite a few players signing up for these. These ones are now sponsored by GG Tour, PTC Geostore, Atlas Collectibles. So there are a few more things now to join with GG Tour, and it will be run through their Discord and stuff like that. Make sure that you fill out everything in advance so that you're able to play in their tournaments. But our prizing is also changing up a little bit as well. So you can see that we're a little bit more cash heavy prizing. And then it's going to go GG Tour prizing, then PTC Geostore prizing. So it's going to be a really cool mix between those. So by all means, be sure to check those out. And if you have any questions to register for this event, be sure to ask in the comment section. Hope that everyone has a great day. If you are trying to get any better at Pokemon or learn a little bit more about the game, hit me up on metafy.gg/@ZachLassage. Totally love to help you on your Pokemon journey. You could also pick up some PTC Geostore codes at ptcgeostore.com. Use code ZLassage5, save 5%. You could also go pick up some physical cards at Atlas TCG. Go to atlastcg.com, plug in code ZLassage8 on your order of Pokemon cards. That being said, I really hope that we see y'all at the late night number 37, and I'll catch up with all y'all then. Peace out and have a great one.